Need some coffee. More coffee. Hold on. I just need some coffee. Mm. Coffee. Good morning, everybody. It's a little early. Can't you tell? Took a shower. Oh, try to wake up into the stream. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Jesse. I'm the tattooed traveler, and I'm tired. But we're going to do this anyway. So let's go. So today I want to talk about flight attendant pay or how flight attendants get paid. Rather confusing. It's a 26-page document. It's basically a book or a Bible, if you want to call it that. And it gets confusing. So we're just going to talk about some basic highlights, um, what certain terminology means, and where the bulk of our paycheck comes from. Because unlike normal jobs or round jobs, you don't just get paid for the time you actually work. And you don't get like an hourly set of like, okay, you just get paid for every time you're on the clock. It's a little more complicated than that. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is let's go with flight pay. Yeah, flight pay. Start with there. So flight pay is the bulk of our paycheck. So flight pay is when we're in the flight. So um, when the aircraft pushes back from the gate, it initiates an out time. We get paid from the time we push back from the time we block into the gate. So from out time to in time, we're getting paid. Now, here's the thing though, we're there hours prior. And we have to clock in. We have to sign in. We have to make sure we let everyone know, hey Delta, we're here. Promise, we're here. We have all our stuff. We're good to go. Um, it doesn't mean we get paid when we clock in and when we sign in. That's just initiating that we're here, we have all our equipment, we're good to go. Often we do that either in the lounge or sometimes in the airport, depending on what's going on, which airport we're at. They all have different rules and regulations, all that fun stuff. But mostly, um, signing in does not mean you actually start getting paid. And that's kind of a big thing is because I would be like 14 hours a day of work and I'm getting paid for 14 hours? Oh, no, no. Back that up. I do 14 hours of work and I get paid for like 5 hours of flying. That's it. So it's a little different. So let's talk about it. So flight pay. Flight pay is, obviously when you push back and then when you get into the gate. And then when you're in the air, that's called flight pay. That's a pretty big number depending on your seniority. And the scale goes from 0 to 13. So you're 14 years, you're going to get paid for 13 years. You're here for 25 years, you're going to get paid at the 13-year mark. Like it doesn't progress farther than 13 years, only 13 steps, which is pretty nice. Also, Delta has done an amazing job of making sure that it's 100% fair, 100% equal among all genders, all races, all creeds, everybody. Everyone's paid the same and it's transparent. So anyone can go in and say, I know how much exactly you're getting paid. And let's move my stream because I don't like where it is. All right, perfect. Getting the computer set up. Um, so I just lost track. My brain was like, so they've done a great job of making sure it's equal, it's fair, everyone understands what they're doing and where everyone's at. So I could literally go in and be like, okay, you've been flying for a year, that's exactly how much you're getting paid. You've been flying for 20 years, okay, well it only goes to 13, so 13 years, all right, there's the step. Um, and then there's supplemental pay. So Delta recently made this huge change where they initiated boarding pay. So all that time we're on the ground serving drinks to the first class customers, stowing bags, helping passengers find their seats, the abuelitas, the grandmas, helping them out. All of that, we used to not get paid for it. It was not a thing. Like you're not getting any money to do any of that. And here's where it can get really granular and really upsetting is story time. So I had a gentleman come on and he was not looking good. And I was asking him, are you okay? Is there anything I can get you? And he full on went and had a medical emergency. I believe he was having a heart attack. It's been a minute. Um, but I digress. He was having a medical emergency. And so I had to initiate CPR. So there I am, not getting paid, but I'm working in the center of the aisle doing CPR on this guy. He was out cold for like 20, 30 minutes until we can get the paramedics on board to handle it and take care of it. Now, unfortunately, we were still on the ground. We were still, it was very chaotic. We're still boarding. And, we're trying to page for medical assistance, EMTs, doctors, physicians, anybody, please come help us out. There was none because, where we're at. And so all of that, like, work I did, not paid. I know. Think about it. Think about it, like, I'm literally doing my job and you're not getting any money for it because we're not in the air. So it's like, all right, if you're gonna have a medical emergency, do you mind holding off till we're just like in the air? I'm kidding, 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 kidding. I would much rather be on the ground and have EMT medical professionals right there helping. Hi guys, all the dogs are in here today. Maddie, if you're gonna come, okay, she did a drive by. You saw her tail wag. Um, So, in all seriousness, like we want to have a very safe and comfortable flight. We want to make sure everyone's safe. So, if you're ever having a medical emergency, please let us know. We're more than happy to help you out, fix it, whatever it takes. Um, but on the back end, on the flight attendant side, it's like I literally just did all that work and did not get any money for it. Now they changed that recently, like very recently, like just like a month or two ago. Delta decided to be the first in the entire United States airline industry and say, we're going to give you boarding pay. And it's like, hooray, we're getting some money to do all that work that we're doing already for free, which is amazing. It's amazing. So, all the time we're serving drinks, we're closing bins, we're helping passengers, we're hanging coats, we're moving bags, getting our cart set up, getting all that. We're getting some money. Now, there's a caveat. Flight pay is like the full Mac Daddy money. Like that's where you get the full paycheck is from your flight pay. Delta said, "Thank you for doing your job. We're going to give you 50% of your flight pay, but only, let's see. So on the domestic side, it's like 40 minutes. So don't quote me on it. I don't have it pulled up in front of me. So on the domestic side, on smaller aircraft, we're going to pay you for 40 minutes of boarding. So if boarding takes 45 minutes, you're just getting 40. If boarding takes 35 minutes, sweet, you're getting 40. Like so it works out in the end where you can have some really nice flights. Now, particularly, I like to work an aircraft. It's the Airbus 221. It's tiny. It's 109 seats. It's so small seats, but huge interior. So it's like a wide body jet, but it's a narrow body jet. So let me explain. The Airbus 220, it's a brand new jet. It's really comfortable. It has really big bins. The seats are wide. It has brand new in-flight entertainment, huge, awesome screens. Really nice stuff. It has three really large lavatories, and one of the lavatories was supposed to be a row of seats that Delta said, no, take that row of seats out. Let's put a lavatory there. So it has three instead of two. And that lavatory has windows, so you can pull up the window shades and look out while you're enjoying the lavatory. Honestly, I use it to take selfies and photos of aurora borealis when you're flying up to Fairbanks. You just like snap, 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 because I don't want to like crawl over a customer and be like, "Excuse me, I'd like to take a photo of the pretty lights outside." That wouldn't work well. So lavatory is the place to go. But let me back it up. So that aircraft, I could probably board it in 25, 30 minutes, which is great because then I'm going to get the additional 40 minutes of pay. Or not the additional, but I'm going to get the whole 40 minutes of pay, even though I boarded it faster than it needed to be. Now, let me back that up. I do a really good job. I make sure everyone comes on. I'm not rushing anybody. Flight attendants are in the aisle. We're welcoming. It's 109 people. And most generally, everyone is sitting right there at the gate. And so they just jump on the plane and, they get in, they get down, and easy breezy. So 25, 30 minutes is usually how fast I can board that aircraft, but I still get paid for 40. So it's nice. So you have the boarding pay and then you have the flight pay. There are something called per diem, which you get, and it's time away from base. So how long is the trip? If it's a 3-day trip, you're generally getting 50 to 60 hours of per diem because that's how long you're away from your base. And now that obviously changes if you're transiting through your base a lot, going like Seattle down to Portland, back to Seattle to Orlando, and then back to Seattle. It's like, okay, you're transiting Seattle. So every time you touch Seattle, you're not away from your base. So you're not getting paid time away from base. And that is like, oh, it's just like $1.50, $2. It's something very minimal, but it does add up over time. Um, so a big misconception that I see that people have is, you clocked in, you signed in, so you're getting paid, right? It's like, no, no, I'm not. I wish I was. And there are everyone has their own opinion of how flight attendants should get paid, what they should get paid, how much they should get paid. Um, And there are some smaller charters and corporate flight attendants that do it differently. And some of them are just straight salary. So here's your annual salary. You're going to get paid the same no matter if you work every day of the month or none of the month. Like, It works out pretty well. But the problem with that is if you get paid the same amount of money if you don't fly at all versus like you fly your patootie off, everyone's going to say, I don't want to fly at all. Like, give me the money and I don't want to do any work. And that's the problem when you have 25,000 flight attendants, and you're going to pay them all the exact same salary. It becomes a mess. Also, it becomes more like a veil gets lifted of what you're actually getting paid because my salary might be different than somebody else's salary. Um, the other thing attached with that is we are hourly, um, and how you get a pay raise. So pay raises are done automatically by your seniority just by being there. It's great. So it's not performance based. It's passive. It's just tenure. You just have to be there. Now it is assumed that you're an amazing person and you come to work and you do an amazing job. And that's majority of the coworkers I fly with. Yeah, that's their mo. Is they're great people. They're happy to be there. They're welcoming. They're kind. They're warm. They'll do almost anything for flight crew will do almost anything for each other, and will take care of the passengers. Like that's the whole point of being there, right? Is to make sure it's safe and have a little fun. There are some few exceptions and some people who are just not that nice, and I'm like, I'm getting paid the same amount of money as you're getting paid, or, they're getting more money than me. And they're terrible. Like, they're like, ah. But that is performance versus tenure. We're just straight tenure. You just have to show up. And then every pay anniversary on your hire date, you go up one level. So it starts at 0, goes all the way to 13. And then once you top out, you top out. Like, there's no more. So you could be here for the next 50 years, but you're just going to be topped out at 13. So that's it. As of now, things could change. Things could change. Some other fun stuff. So we got the boarding pay. So there's a whole section of supplemental pay. And for the most part, I've been talking about the domestic side of the house. So domestic side and international side are very different in a lot of regards, and it's almost like two different airlines. So if you're a purser and you're just flying transoceanics, to Tokyo. I've been thinking about Tokyo a lot, actually. So, like, I really want to go, but Japan, please. I'm vaccinated. Will you let me in? Let's say you're going to Amsterdam, right? So, if you're consistently just flying, Amsterdam, Paris, Istanbul, Tel Aviv, if you're just flying those transoceanic flights, it's a very different mindset and a very different pay structure than it is on the domestic side. So, the domestic side, it's you get regular pay. If you're a regular flight attendant, you just show up. If you bid for and held flight leader pay or were escalated into the flight leader position, um, there is a pay override that gets applied because flight leader is a lot of work, and it's a lot of responsibility. You're in charge of the whole flight. So if anything happens, like falls on you. So if flight attendants acting crazy, it falls on you. Customer hurt themselves, it falls on you. So it's like it's a lot of paperwork, and so there's a pay override. So you get your flight pay. Let me find the camera. So you get your flight pay, and then you get a pay override for being a flight leader, and then you get your per diem on top of it for just showing up and being there. So that's domestic side of the house. Pretty simple, pretty easy, and you get your boarding pay on top of it. That's a brand new thing. Hooray. It's all calculated for you, by the way. Like, it's all in the database, in the computer system, all automated. So you don't actually have to like keep track of anything. You just click, oh, yep, there it is. There's all my stuff for the month. Sweet. International transoceanic. So I interchange international and transoceanic. What I mean is you're leaving the United States and you're going to a different country that requires a passport. Pretty self explanatory, but things are paid differently. So I can fly from Seattle to Mexico, and I could do it as a flight leader. It doesn't require a purser because it's not a transoceanic flight. So what I'm specifically talking about is transoceanic flights, and that's the next segment, is when you're going up and over an ocean to Amsterdam, up and over an ocean to Seattle, uh, excuse me, Seattle to Amsterdam, Seattle to Tokyo, LA to Sydney, Australia. Ooh, what was the new one? The new one that was just announced, not Auckland. I want to go to New Zealand so bad. It was Tahiti. Yeah, LA to Tahiti. I'm like, oh my God, let's go. Like, Delta just announced that. Let's go. Um, so when you're doing a transoceanic flights, your pay is changed slightly. There's more steps. There's some more things involved. So let's just talk about regular because that's pretty easy. So on the domestic side, it's just you get your regular flight pay. There you go. Thanks for being here. Bye. On the transoceanic side, going to some far-flung destination that's amazing, you're going to get your flight pay. Then you're going to get, well, back it up. Boarding pay is actually longer. I want to say it's like 75 minutes. It depends on the aircraft, but you're going to get more boarding pay. You're going to get your flight pay, and then you're going to get a transoceanic pay override just for being there and just for flying it. You're going to get a little bit more money. Like it's like a, oh, I want to say it's like a $250 like boost per flight hour, um, just for being there because it's a ton of work. It's like a lot of work, and so that's a regular. Now, if you're going to be the purser, like the cabin manager, the head honcho, the queen bee, that's like a ton of money. Okay, let's talk about let's do Seattle to Tokyo. Let's do this. Okay, so let's say you're the purser and you also speak Japanese and you're qualified. Delta signed you off. They said you're fluent in Japanese. We want you. Okay, you're gonna get your base pay. You're gonna get your boarding pay. You're gonna get the base pay. You're gonna get the pay override for transoceanic just being there, and then you're gonna get leadership pay. And the person. So there's two leadership pays. There's the A scale, which is the purser, the cabin manager in charge of the whole thing, and there's the B scale, which is the service coordinator. They're in charge of the back of the aircraft. So you're going to get your base pay, the transoceanic pay, the purser pay, and then if you're certified in the language, you're going to get LOD pay on top of it. So it's like, so you can see how transoceanic you can make a lot of money, especially if you're a leader and you speak a language and you're flying to the destination that requires that language. Now, Amsterdam, for example, is it's the Netherlands. They speak Dutch. However, Delta doesn't require an LOD on every single one of their flights. So I believe it's Detroit that still requires Dutch LODs. Not all bases require LODs. So, for instance, Seattle to Amsterdam doesn't require a Dutch LOD. So, even if you're a Dutch LOD and you're flying it out of Seattle, you're not going to get your leadership, you're not going to get your language pay because it's not required. You see what I'm saying? So, if Delta requires it and you're doing it, even if you're not in the LOD position, let's say you're a leadership position, you're still going to get the LOD pay because, hello, like, let's think about it. You're a human, you're on the aircraft, you're probably going to speaking Dutch to somebody, especially if they're speaking it to you. So you're going to be using your language anyway. And it's great if you're a leader, if you're the purser and you're going to the Netherlands and you make the announcements in Dutch, they're going to look at you and be like, "Thank you. Thank you for recognizing us." The Dutch are amazing. They speak English better than I speak English, but you just get a little bit kudo if you speak their language. It's like if you're a Japanese person and someone's speaking perfect fluent Japanese to you and you speak it back. It's just that like humbling respect of like you're speaking my native language as opposed to a language that I went out and learned. You get kudo points, like major kudo points. So that's pay, and it's really big. It's 26 pages. It's a book. So supplemental pay. There's so many things to go on within supplemental pay, but I need more coffee because, like, you see this cup? Like, got my Alaska Wolf cup going on. I need some more coffee. Ugh. Hopefully that's not too loud. I realize that the mic is right here and my mouth is right here, and I make all kinds of noises in my mouth, and some people are like, I don't want to hear that. Sorry. Just doing me. What else do we got about pay? So a lot of it is, it sounds complicated, right? But a lot of it is not. Like once the schedule is on your rotation or your schedule, what's your schedule? English hard today. Speaking all kinds of backwards. Dyslexia is happening. So once the trip or the rotation is on your schedule, you can go into the back end of the pay system and say, what's the calculated rate of what I'm going to get for this? So the system automatically puts in all the pay variances, the pay overrides, the language pays, the leadership pay. They automatically put everything in there. So you can just go in and say, oh, I'm getting paid all that. So you don't have to keep track of it. You don't have to even know about it. You're just like, there's my paycheck. Why am I getting more for Amsterdam than I am for Orlando? And it's like, well, Orlando's a domestic flight. I would argue it's more work to fly to Orlando than it is to Amsterdam. However, Amsterdam is you get all the pay overrides because it's transoceanic. So at the end of the day, transoceanics you make more money. It's harder work, generally speaking. Um, and they're more valuable. So if I have a London or a Tokyo or something, if I held that on my schedule and put it on the swap board and said, "Please, somebody, anybody want this?" It'll be gone within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, like tops. People will take it and get rid of it because excuse me, it's valuable. It's money, and so it's a lot of money. So instead of my mindset with the trips is, do I want to actually fly that thing? Like, is that something I actually want? And then on the top of it is, how much money am I going to get for doing this? And is it worth it? So on my stream yesterday, I was talking about flight attendant schedules in very disorganized, messy, dysfunctional way. Um, I was talking about that I do California jogs. So I just, up and down the West Coast, in and out of California all day long. And I happened to say it wasn't a lot of money. And I'm grateful for everything I get, but it's not a transoceanic flight. It's not good money. Like, wow, okay, I only have to do one or two of these a month type of trips. I better do one every single week if I want to pay my rent. and and so it's preference based. So that's going back to flight attendant schedules is, what do you want to work versus, so when you're junior, you don't really have a say. It's like, okay, this is your schedule. You can try and move things around and swap things all day long. That's no big deal. Um, but you don't really hold good trips. When you're senior enough, you can start holding some amazing trips and be like, okay, yeah, I held this trip. It's great. I'm keeping on to it. Like Hawaii, for example. If you just want to fly to, Maui's on Tuesdays and Lahui on Thursdays and what else? Honolulu's on Saturdays. Like, you can make your trip and your schedule what you want it to be. Just do all the Hawaii flights. Um, you just have to understand you might have to add more trips uh, to get the pay that you want and to get the schedule that you want. So for me, it's time worked versus time paid, and it's like this balance of, how much do I want to work versus how much do I want to get out of it? How much do I want to get paid for it? And obviously, the more you put into it, the more you can get out of it, but you can lead yourself to exhaustion. You can get really sick. You could just be burnt out. And no one likes a burnt out flight attendant, and no one deserves a burnt out flight attendant. Let me tell you, if you jump on my aircraft and you come fly with me, you'll see that I like to have fun. I'm goofy. I know you're like, yeah, we know. We've been watching you stream. I'm goofy. And listen, I would rather be a goofy, funny person and just be like chippy and bubbly and having a good time than just like crabby and bewildering everybody and be like, like, it's not necessary, it's not polite, it's not needed, and it's definitely not expected. So like, you better be acting right, or Delta's going to be over there being like, knock knock knock, excuse me, we're going to be having a performance development, come on into the office. It's like, I'm so sorry. Yeah. So act right. And so that's why I choose to work um, 3 to 4 days a week. And I know a lot of you just gasp and you're like, 3 to 4 days a week. I work 6, I work 8 days, I work 20 days a week. I understand. Come do my job, and then I'll do your job, and then we'll see how each other works. So, a flight attendant was not my first career. I've had one prior to this, and I know what it's like to do other things besides be a flight attendant. And when I tell you it's hard, some days it is really, really hard. I'm talking like my average work day is between 10 and 14 hours. Like, that's just my work day. So I'm working, like literally working 10 hours and getting paid for 4 hours of that work because it's just 4 hours of flights. Um, but I'm required to be there. I'm required to be there between flights. I'm required to be there, uh, you know, when a mechanical happens and it takes a little longer to fix something. Um, I'm still required to be there. And a lot of times I'm still required to do my job, even though I'm not getting the money for it. So it, it could take a little bit, but that's where it takes patience and grace. Like, forgive yourself. Also forgive everyone else around you. Like, um, sometimes people get on the aircraft and they're just cranky as can be. And it's not me particularly. Sometimes it is. I mean, some people just don't like bubbly people. I get it. I understand. Like, it's 4 in the morning, dude. Like, calm down. I'm like, I get it. I've had 6 cups of coffee. Let me just mind my own business, have another one. But generally speaking, I would say the customers are great. You just have to be cognizant of the time of day, where you're going, what's going on, and what political events are going on. So, you know, I don't take. Uh, I can't say that. Never mind. I have here a good time. We're having a good time. And all I want to have is a good time. Whether that takes a little bit of alcohol or just a hug and a kiss, whatever it takes, I'm here for a good time. Can you imagine? You're like, that flight attendant, what is he doing? Actually, hugs in the aisle. I've done that quite a bit. There's a couple YouTube videos of me on the internet uh, dancing, and I like to throw napkins. So, like, I don't have any napkins with me, but they're really light, airy, ethereal paper napkins. And so you throw them up, and they're just going to come down nice and gentle. And so there was this kid's having a bad day. So I'm throwing the napkins up in the air and they're just coming down and the kids are looking at it and they're just like, why is he throwing napkins in the air? And I'm having a good time and distracting the kids because they're being kids, cranky kids who are hungry and just want to be left alone. And so after we do that, get their beverage order, uh, get some snacks, and so I start handing the snacks out, and I just keep handing the snacks out, and I just keep handing the snacks out, and they're looking at me like, "Why is he giving us so much snacks?" Because we have 4 different choices of snacks, like 4. We got a lot of snacks, and keep it coming. Whatever you want, just keep it coming. And it ended up like their tray table was full of snacks, and they had all kinds of beverages, and the mom was just like, "Thank you, I needed that. I needed the break," like almost into tears. And the kids are like, "Yeah, we're not hungry anymore. We're not going to be monsters." And they eventually calm down and stop being kids. But I mean, you have to know the audience, you have to know the situation, right? So it's fun. I have all kinds of stories. So I just like, I want to talk about pay stuff and off into Storyland. What else do we have? I think that's pretty much it. Let me double check. I'm on my laptop. Let me double check. I had some stuff opened about that I wanted to review. So yeah, talked about flight pay, talked about boarding pay, talked about leadership pay, talked about language of destination pay. Um, yeah, talked about per diems. Uh, what else do we got? Oh, maintenance. Let's say we're having a maintenance issue. Now, no one likes a maintenance issue. We don't like a maintenance issue. No one likes a maintenance issue. Um, when there is a maintenance issue and we take a delay, we don't get paid for that. We don't get like why would we get paid for that? Don't get me wrong, I would like to get paid for that. But we don't get paid when we're not in the air. Our flight pay. The flight pay we don't get paid unless we're in the air. Push back, ready to go. Uh, so when there's a maintenance issue and we're back at the gate, you're frustrated because you're probably going to be missing your flight or your connection or you're just being late and no one likes that. Like we don't like that. We as flight attendants, we're not getting any money for that. We're not getting, we need to go as well. And here's the truth behind a lot of things. So a lot of people focus on themselves, which is completely fine. I mean, happens. We all do it. Um, the crew, on the other hand, we have our own set of like stuff going on in our world. So if this is the last flight of the day, let's say we're going to Salt Lake City back to Seattle, I have to catch a flight and go home. And like, it's on the clock. So if I miss my flight to go home, that means I have to spend $400 to find a hotel. Sometimes it's $299, sometimes it's $399, depending on what's going on in Seattle. I have to get a hotel and spend all this money and then go home the next day, and then I'm home a day late, $1 short, and I have less rest time, and that's because I choose to commute. I don't live where I'm based. Now, if it's a connecting flight, let's say we're going to Los Angeles to Salt Lake City to Seattle, um, and we're supposed to lay over in Seattle, let's say it's 13, 14 hours, sitting there doing maintenance time is just, maintenance time is building and our layover time is getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter until it's all the way down to like minimum rest. And there are FAA standards of you cannot safely operate an aircraft if you don't have this much amount of rest, like at least this much or more. Like this is the minimum you can go. And that's a relatively new thing. I know you're like, what are you talking about? Relatively new thing. Yeah, minimum rest was a hugely debated and hugely like triggering topic within the flight attendant community and within the pilot community is we always want more rest. And the company is saying, but you should be able to do it on this much. But it becomes a mess. So No one likes delayed flights, not even your flight crew, and we don't get paid for it. I wish we did. That'd be kind of fun. Can you imagine? Like, I got a plane full of people. I'm serving beverages. I'm giving out water. I'm giving out snacks. I'm trying to make sure everyone's happy. I got the entertainment on. I'm passing out headsets. Everyone has their headphones. Everyone has a drink. Everyone has their snack. Everyone's good to go. We're like, we're working, but we're not getting money for it. Okay, take it with the grain of salt. Have a little grace, and let's let's all get through this together, and then have some fun when we're in the air. Be like, look, Daddy Delta said. Daddy Delta said that if we're delayed, I can ask the pilots if we can serve alcohol for free. And they're going to be like, pilots, can we serve alcohol? And they're going to say, I don't care, generally speaking. Sometimes they're like, no. Like a Vegas flight, they're going to be like, no, you're not serving any alcohol. They've had plenty of alcohol in the casino. You're not serving any. Okay, sorry. I'll just wait till we're in the air and then we're ready to go. Let's see. So, other pay topics. There's so much. And there's like, literally, it's a book on flight attendant pay. It's not when you clock in, it's when you're in the air. And that's the vast majority of it. That's what happens when you get flown in a day off. That's what happens when you get drafted. That's oh, this is all supplemental. This is a lot. There's a lot of stuff you can really go into. Like how many flight segments are you doing per day? Um, so well, yeah, we could do that. So if you fly 4 flight segments, so 4 flights. Now, some of you, it's like 4 flights. That's nothing. 4 flights can be a lot. Like especially when you're talking about a 16-hour day. 4 flights can be a lot. They give you an extra little on your 4th flight. They give you a little extra something something. The pay desk is like, we feel for you. Sorry, here's your 4th leg pay. Bump, and that has to be 4 working legs. You can't be deadheading. Oh, deadheading. Terminology. I should do a terminology video. Um, Deadheading is when you are being positioned or repositioned. So you're being flown from one city to another city, and you're not actually working it. You're sitting in a passenger seat, and it's called a deadhead. In the trucking world, I want to say they call it a bobtail. I'll have to call my brother. He's a long haul trucker. Be like, bro, what do you call it? He'd be like, oh, it's a bobtail. Um, when you're being positioned or repositioned from, like, let's say you're in San Francisco and you're going down to LA, you're not actually working it. You get your flight pay for being moved, and you're working because you're required to be there. Um, or excuse me, you're not working because you're sitting, but you are required to be there, so you do get the flight pay. It's very nicety. I'm like, thank you, please, thank you for giving us that. But you don't get the 4th leg pay if one of those legs is a deadhead. So in that instance, you would have to work 5 legs, and one of them could be a deadhead. So then because then it's 4 working legs. I swear. Like, I wish I could just show you this and be like, here's on the screen. This makes sense. But I'm not about to violate social media policy and get myself terminated because, while I love you all, uh, I don't make money off this. It's brand new. Of course, why would I make money if it's brand new? And I think I have one viewer. It's one. So if you'd like to like and subscribe to my channel and help me out, it'd be great. Love that. Maybe I can. It takes 1,000 subscribers to get monetized. So I have to hit at least 1,000 subscribers before I can even start to get monetized. So we'll see how that goes. And then YouTube has to do a whole thing about like, do we really want to put advertisements on his stuff? And Twitch, because I'm over here on Twitch as well. Let's see. That's vacation rate. That's training. There's so much stuff. Special assignment, jury duty. Yeah. So I think that's all I can really talk about within the pay community is how to flight attendant gets paid when we're in the air, when we're working. Everything else is supplemental, but it all adds up. And um, if at any time I sounded ungrateful, like I truly am super grateful because um, the money can be really good. But then again, it's back to your choice of how much do you want to fly, how much time do you want to have off, and what can you personally achieve. So I could fly 120 hours if it's just all Londons, and that's easy. That's like 5, 6 Londons, easy enough. Um, but I can't do 120 hours of straight domestic flying through New York, LaGuardia, Florida, with all the summer turbulence, with all the weather, with all the hurricanes, the thunderstorms. It's very exhausting, and I couldn't do it. Like I could do one or two of those flights a month, and that's about it. And it's exhausting. Turbulence exhausts you. Like getting shaken on the aircraft. It's exhausting. Hi, Maddie. Come here. Can say hi. Come here. Hi. I got Maddie in the room. Hi, Maddie. You want to come say hi? Here. Come here. Oh, hi, honey. Okay, okay. I gotta finish my stream. Okay. The dogs are saying, it's breakfast time. It's breakfast time. Anyway, my name's Jess. I'm the tattoo traveler. I'm a flight attendant. Hi, Zoe. I'm trying to do my etro. All the dogs are in the room right now, so I gotta get going. They're looking at me like we are hungry. My name's Jess. I'm the tattoo traveler. If you'd like to support my channel, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Let me know how I'm doing. Come chat with me. I try and go live as much as possible. Enjoy your day and have a good one.